Thanks for visiting the patient and the weather. Today I'm meteorologist Al Peterlin and I'd like to talk about the weather health risk for December 6, 2025. If we do maintain a storefront on Amazon called Patient Weather, and if you do your purchasing through our shop Patient Weather on Amazon, you are supporting Patient Weather. Looking at our surface map for the 6th, you can see we do have a long frontal system stretching all the way from western Montana to the Nebraska-Kansas border, back up to Chicago through Buffalo and up into southeastern Canada. You will note that we do have two areas of moisture, one along the Pacific Northwest on the western side of the mountains and across the southeast, covering much of the Gulf from Louisiana right up into the coastal North Carolina. But the real swath of activity will be here along that front, which stretches across Tampa. Do note that there's a lot of snow and winter type weather across the northern third of the country, all the way from Idaho through the Dakotas up into the westernmost portions of the lakes and up into the upper Mississippi Valley, and lingering all the way into portions of New England. Looking at our vitality index, the composite where all of the different elements of weather can have a weather health impacts, you'll notice we have something going on across the entire northern third of the country. We have a little bit of unsettled activity going on from Texas clear on up into Kansas, covering portions of the Four Corners. And then we have that very narrow swath up through the middle Mississippi, Ohio Valley, and then covering significantly and rather sharply and strongly across New England. Looking at pressure change, and pressure change is always of interest for those sensitive. We have rising pressure from Washington, Oregon, across Idaho, Montana, North Dakota, across Minnesota, Wisconsin, and the upper Great Lakes. We do have some falling pressure here in the Central Plains, Oklahoma, Kansas, up into Nebraska, and then again falling pressure significantly across much of New England. Temperature change, of course, is always of interest, and we're actually so frigid across most of the country that seeing some reinforcing cold air here behind that frontal system across the Dakotas into Minnesota, Wisconsin, and upstate New York. But note, we do have warming, and warming doesn't mean much, maybe getting back to normal wintertime temperatures here across the Four Corners, southern and eastern Texas, and then in that line through the Ohio Valley up into New England. Again, rising temperatures always can be a migraine trigger. However, these temperatures are now so low that rising temperatures may mean just a little bit or brief comfort. Looking at the dew point temperatures, we again have much the same issue, the very falling dew point temperatures with the falling temperatures all post behind that front. We have some rising dew point temperatures, meaning some moisture here in that swath from Texas into the Ohio Valley and again across much of New England. Vapor pressure shows and reinforces much the same thing, but the interesting part here is you can see the falling dew point temperatures in vapor a lot more strongly than you can when you just look at the dew point temperatures themselves. Looking at POI, which is the measure of the oxygen availability in the atmosphere, we're going to have that risk of migraine across that northern third of the country from Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana, through the Dakotas, picking up sharply Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin, northern Michigan, all the way up into a line right across here, extreme northern and upstate New York. We do have another risk of migraine in the western side of the Appalachians, where Kentucky, West Virginia, and even North Carolina and Tennessee come to play, and in that jointure, little risk of migraine right there. And then we have a significant risk of migraine here in southern Georgia, northern Florida, and you'll note again, this is on the back side of that front that continues to linger. little bit of asthma, arthritis risk here in Central Florida, but the risk of asthma and arthritis extremely sharp across the four corners, very sharp up through Texas, up into Louisiana, Arkansas, and in that line up through central Ohio and upstate New York. And notice the upswing here, a very sharp risk of asthma and arthritis across New England. But note it stretches all the way down through Pennsylvania into New Jersey and off the coast here, picking up all of the Canadian provinces to the southeast. Thanks for visiting the patient and the weather. Your comments are appreciated. If you hurt, tell us where you're located. And don't forget our storefront on Amazon. You can support Patient Weather by doing your purchasing through the shop or storefront we have on.